1942, German submarines sank hundreds of Allied ships under Operation Drumbeat, part of World War II's Battle of the Atlantic.
What's interesting is that during the war, in an effort to keep the American public from realizing what a tremendous impact the German U-boat operations were really having on the Allied convoys headed to Europe, the story was kept pretty quiet.
That's because keeping American morale high during the Second World War was hard, even without knowing that German subs were in our own backyard attacking merchant ships up and down the East Coast.
Although it's not a secret, but today, 60 plus years later, not that many people knew about it, certainly during the Second World War, and not that many people know about the story today.
Alberg is part of a team of researchers conducting an underwater archaeological expedition of the remains of vessels that took part in the Battle of the Atlantic. One such ship, the German sub U-85, was hit by the USS Roper on April 14, 1942, just 14 miles off the coast of Nags Head, North Carolina.
When the crew actually got out, scuttled the ship, got out on deck, the sub was lost, and then the Coast Guard cutter continued to pick up a sonar image as the sub was sinking. And fearful that there was a second U-boat, in actuality what they were probably seeing was the echo of the first sub as it was going down, they released 11 depth charges into the water, which killed all of the survivors from the U-boat.
It was the first U-boat to be sunk in U.S. waters during the war. The ship's crewmen are buried in a military cemetery in Hampton, Virginia. Operation Drumbeat came to an end with mandatory blackouts of U.S. coastal cities, the instigation of convoys, and the addition of anti-sub warships. More and more U-boats were sunk, 5 off the coast of North Carolina alone. Ironically, it's the proximity of these shipwrecks to the shoreline that is now why they make such great recreational dive locations for history buffs.
You could come out here and you could dive a U-boat site in an afternoon and then go hit a site that was sunk by a U-boat in the same day.
When we talk about our purpose for doing this, it's not to go out and preserve and really the German story. It's really to preserve the story and its impact on America. I mean, this is an American maritime heritage story about how these boats and boats like them were literally operating inside the waters of the United States, even inside the Chesapeake Bay, and very effectively.
For Discovery News, I'm Jorge Rivas.